Welcome to Worship, a monthly-ish video essay series chronicling the Vidimio Gameras that I hold dearest. Not every episode will be a modern or indie release, though most will. Let's talk about canons. No, not like canons. A canon refers to the works of art that have been nearly universally accepted as one of the greats of their respective medium. Something like Moby Dick, Citizen Kane, or Dark Side of the Moon, respectively, are pillars of their medium's canons. Much of the time, a canon is treated as though it must be reserved for those monolithic works which have proven to stand the test of time. However, this stodgy perspective more often leads to a circuitous logic in which great works are never considered worthy of being perceived as canonical. So no one considers anything nominally fresher as being a potential addition to the canon, and so the canon in question stagnates. This has a cascading effect in which the best days are always behind us for art, even during an era such as this, in which there are more masterpieces dropping more frequently than ever before. We still pine for halcyon days. Unrelatedly, today's video is about Super Lesbian Animal RPG, last year's marvelous RPG that casts its eyes towards the future while acknowledging that it stands on the shoulders of giants. Or in a less pretentious description, it's one of the cutest, funniest, and most loving RPGs I've played in a dog's age. I think it deserves its flowers. I think it deserves recognition as one of the best games out there. But let's back it up a little bit. What, pray tell, has me and many others so over the moon for this commercial release of a My Little Pony fan game, originally released in 2013 as Super Lesbian Horse RPG Preemptive Game of the Year Edition? It's really that great? See, this is the enlightening commentary you stopped by here for. Jokes aside, if I said essentially everything, you might cock your head, but it's true. Let's dig in. One of the integral parts in telling a truly great RPG from one that is simply good is its music. This is non-negotiable. An RPG can have the best battle system or narrative in gaming history, but it would never stack up as an RPG to the genre watermarks if its soundtrack was not magnificent. You cannot listen to key tracks such as Star Power or Transform without nodding your head along at the very least. Meanwhile, the homey ambience of Greenridge theme but 37% softer, yes, really, is quintessential cozy RPG city music, where SLRPG sticks out from the pack in a way that no other game in its genre has, however, is in its writing. The most obvious point in its favor in this regard is in its humor. This game comes for your gut, hard and fast with many of its jokes. You'll be rolling multiple times in how it toys with your expectations, but it never strays into Undertale's territory by outright breaking the fourth wall. SLRPG will wink at and nudge you with its humor, but it's not going to comment on your save scumming or anything like that. It's a game which feels so joyful that it is a game, if that makes sense. And yeah, that's one of the reasons why this game's so exceptional. But I'd be lying if I said it wasn't the most important reason why. You may be able to tell why at the game's title if you're an intuitive person, but this game's extremely gay. It is ecstatically queer. No game of its size and grandeur before has ever been this fucking fruity. And not like the fetishistic harem bullshit kinda gay, I'm talking about the genuine article. I am so glad as well that young trans kids can play this game and say, holy shit, 2 of this game's main characters are trans. When has anyone ever been able to say that before? Ever. That SLRPG does that, and well, would honestly be enough for me to have played, loved, and recommended it highly. That the game is, on the whole, as spectacular as it is, though, is what has quickly allowed the game to nestle itself alongside other games I deem special to me. Yet SLRPG is not saccharine. Its depictions of panic attacks, self-loathing, and toxic self-doubt can be genuinely harrowing. They are intensely effective and feel earned. By the end of the game, when those arcs resolve themselves in the game's phenomenal conclusion, it is astonishing. This game has to have one of the best final boss fights ever, and every note thereafter is somehow played just as perfectly. I could go on into the game's satisfying battle system, and how its gameplay brilliantly ties into the game's narrative. But I think if I start going into that, or how uniformly excellent the game's cast of oddballs is, I may rave about the game until the heat death of the universe, so let's change tack. I foresee several reasons why one might scoff at the idea that I can tinsel RPG to be worthy of such a distinction. There's the transphobes, who I will not dignify. There's people who think it sounds silly and like it shouldn't be as great as it is, who live in a parallel dimension unmoored from reality. Then there are folks who may, understandably, believe that there is an element of fetishizing queer women in that. You know, the original version of the script went on for 2 paragraphs about how the commodification of queerness is not unique to queer women, as folks like to think it is, and how queer men can find solace in representation that does not speak to them directly. I think I made some salient points. However, it is not a perspective I can write from anymore. Because I don't identify as a queer man anymore, I'm a queer woman, in fact. So instead of arguing for the value of representation that doesn't speak to one personally, maybe we should consider the value of great representation for those who are questioning, wearing their eggs, yeah? So, yeah, RPG, it's one of the best games ever. Help me come out as trans. Go fucking play it, you little shit. Fuck you for watching this video.